What up, Guru Jojo? Spiritual knowledge for you, Astro Psych. So, this topic in particular is about talking to yourself. Is it a healthy habit? Is it unhealthy? When does it become unhealthy? Is it even unhealthy? What are the different ways that we all talk to ourselves? Because we all do it. Let's talk about it. When does talking to yourself become an unhealthy habit? Because here's the thing, we all talk to ourselves. Don't lie to me. I know you talk to yourself all the time. You talk to yourself in the car, in the shower. You were just talking to yourself before you clicked this video, maybe in your head or out loud. We talk to ourselves in our head all the time. Why? Because we're connected with the energy of God. We are communicating with ourselves all the time internally. That's that God version of you that you're speaking to all the time in your head. It is important to talk to yourself because this allows you to gather and organize your thoughts, just like you would do on a piece of paper if you were writing a paper, perhaps, or whatever it be. In general, what people associate with talking to yourself as being a little bit loony and crazy is when there's a disruption in the boundaries, the restrictions, and the limitations. I said this in a previous video before. In music, there's a limiter, and the limiter it blocks particular frequencies from coming into the project to keep the sound in a particular or at a particular level. Your brain works the same way. Okay, this is a benefit and it's also a limitation. What you pay attention to, I spoke about this in manifestation videos, the same shit. So at the end of the day, what you pay attention to and what you don't pay attention to, it determines your blessings. People who don't pay attention to a lot of stuff, which people who have strong Saturn in their chart, this is astrology I'm speaking of as well, okay, they tend to not pay attention to a lot of things. They have a preference as to the things that they attend to and the things that they communicate with and the things that they decide to connect to because they build things. Are you aware of the things you build in your life, right? This is what's important. So when people are talking to themselves, it just depends on how much it's disrupting the outside environment and how much it's limiting them from doing things. So for example, if you're a person who talks to yourself a lot and let's say that you then cannot get anything done ever, okay? Or if you're a person who talks to yourself a lot to the point that you cannot go out without people thinking that you're weird, or, I mean, not weird, but when you talk to yourself to the point that it becomes disruptive to the outside world, any sort of behavior that you express, as long as it does not become disruptive to the outside world, you're fine. When you start to disrupt the outside world, that's when people care. Even if you internalize a behavior that is disruptive personally to you on a day-to-day basis, nobody cares because it's internalized, it's only affecting you, you're not expressing it in a way in which it's disrupting other people, right? You would have to go to like the doctor or something like that to get that checked out. But when you start to express these energies to the outside world, that's when now you get defined as having like schizophrenia or whatever, whatever it be, because your behavior is making other people what? Uncomfortable. Your behavior is making other people uncomfortable. So then a lot of times this creates things like agoraphobia and stuff for some people who are weird because they feel like they can't even express themselves. So you see, it's like this world is difficult because we do have to have our guard up to protect ourselves from people who actually are really crazy. But then there's some people who are really not crazy that lose the opportunity to be able to enjoy life because of judgmental people and stigmas. It sucks. Like this sucks. Don't even let me get into the topic. So, anyways, my point being is that no, you're not unhealthy or crazy because you talk to yourself, but you might be if you cannot control the chatter in your mind to the point that you start kind of like saying things out loud that are meaningless or doesn't make sense to others, which I think would be called word salad. In other words, this could also be Tourette syndrome, where in Tourette syndrome you're kind of like expressing aggressively random wordplay that seems to be like Freudian slips, and that's defined as having Tourette syndrome. Perhaps it's all just unexpressed anger, irritation, passion. When passion becomes inhibited too much, it can get set off in different ways. Some people stutter. Some people get depressed because these energies. What can happen is they could completely go like like it could just shut down completely, or it can go in the other extreme like mania, and they just take in so much energy of passion and they internalize it for so long that when a particular time comes, divine timing, these people just completely switch into a high state of energy, and this would be mania. So it just depends. It's the same thing with talking to yourself. Like sometimes people just go out, they hang around too many people, they take in too much information, too much thoughts from the outside world, and then they start to kind of like collect all this information, and it becomes like disruptive in their mind. Um, and things like this, it's just where there's a need to take responsibility and build those limits. So you shouldn't really talk to too many people. You should have like a pretty limited amount of friends that you communicate with, because then your friends start to disrupt your thoughts. Um, and this again is where you can kind of start like talking to yourself. Now, the reason why I say this is because I actually had a personal experience. Check this out. Because life allows me to experience these things temporarily, I feel like, in order to be relatable to other people. Um, so, anyways, the other day, Christmas actually, December 25th, I went to a Japanese restaurant with my dad and his girlfriend and her daughter. So, anyways, we are at this Japanese restaurant, half hibachi, half buffet. We chose the buffet. Besides the point, um, for some reason that day, like, I felt a little out of control of like the energy that I was taking on. Like it was weird. I felt kind of uncomfortable, but I was hungry, so I stayed. But my point being that for some reason when I was at this restaurant, right, everyone, so it was crowded. Everyone's like communications and conversations and whatnot, they were like disrupting my energy and my thoughts, and I was getting kind of pissed off and frustrated. And it was weird because for some reason this one weird thing happened that I just felt like I needed to make a video about. Okay, this one weird thing happened that hasn't happened to me before. All right, this is what happened. I'm serious. So this dude was talking about some shrimp rolls or something like that, and when he was talking about it with someone else that was next to him, I happened to just hear the conversation. And for some reason, when he mentioned the shrimp rolls, I repeated it. Like, I like mumbled it and repeated it. Like, he was said something about shrimp rolls. And for some reason, I was like, shrimp rolls. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, why did I say shrimp? I don't even like shrimp rolls. So I was thinking like this must like be like kind of what may happen to like some crazy people. Like maybe if there's too much energy around them, they just kind of don't know like which thoughts were theirs or something. They just like hear something and think it's their thought. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like that's like how I felt. Like I was like, I don't even like shrimp rolls. Why even repeated what this dude said? I don't give a shit about this conversation. He just happened to be like a disruption that I need to know was a disruption, and I didn't need to at all attend to that conversation. It was not relevant for me. So this is an example of what I mean by having your limits. Like that day, I was taken out of my limits for maybe just the experience itself, but it was quite uncomfortable. I mean, like I was paying attention to way too much that was in my surroundings that I did not need to pay attention to. Everything seemed to be exaggerated in terms of sound and in terms of the level of its expression. Like this other dude was re he was like re stocking the ice cream bowls. Like when I was going to get green tea ice cream, I highly recommend it. It's usually at like Chinese restaurants or like Japanese restaurants or whatever. So anyways, um the bowls kept clicking like each time he kept stacking them, and I was like kind of getting annoyed, but I noticed everyone around me didn't care. So it's important to look at how your environment is picking up on information too, to help you kind of realize, whether or not you should be concerned about something. It's also important too to have somebody very close to you. You know what I'm saying? If you have like problems like this often where you may feel like you're going crazy and so you don't like to go out, and this is why you tend to like maybe stick to environments that you're really, really comfortable with, which is fine, but it is important to get yourself out there to experience, or else you could kind of limit yourself from staying healthy on a broad dynamic. But anyways, my point being is that it's good to have like a friend to kind of match that friend's vibe, like to know whether things are safe, somebody that you trust at least. That's how I feel about that type of situation, if that's something that you go through. Again, back to the topic initially about talking to yourself. um, it's not unhealthy. It just becomes unhealthy when it's something that you're doing that is now causing uncomfortability for your external environment, and when you're kind of like cluttered in your own mental space to the point that it's like forcing you to almost talk it out to yourself in order for you to like get out all that energy. I just recommend being more choosy, having discernment on the things you listen to, the people you listen to, the people you pay attention to. It's just very important to clear your mind. All right, I'm gonna give another example. When I was working at a university, and in particular, there was just a lot of people who would like come in and have like a problem that they would like, concerning their grades or school or whatever, which is like normal. Like, okay, that's what we're here for, to solve problems. Like, that's what work and service is for. But after a while, it's like if there's certain days where I have like my own issues too, it becomes difficult for me to keep hearing like certain things because it sounds silly after a while, if that makes sense. Because it's like you get it, but certain things it gets annoying because it's like so simple to resolve, but it just seems like, not everyone's on that level of understanding. So it's like, I don't know how to say, but some days I'm just not as empathetic, perhaps. But I'm a very empathetic person, however. But really, what's going on is the mind is too cluttered, and there's a need to remove oneself and clear one's thoughts, which I feel like meditation is the best for this type of thing. So every single day, I would leave and have meditation breaks. Like, I asked my supervisor at the time, am I allowed to have like meditation breaks? It's part of my religion. That's what I said. Like, I said it's part of my spiritual practices. And they can't discriminate. Like, you know, I don't know what other rules are established at other people's workplace. I'm not like recommending people to do that. I'm just saying, like, apply that to your own life. Like, are there times where you could be at a party or you could be hanging out with friends and like you start to just feel uncomfortable, like, or irritable or annoyed? It's definitely very, very much okay for you to say, you know what, guys, like, I want to go, it's time for me to go home now. Like, I'm getting a little, I just feel a little weird. I gotta do my meditation, y'all. Like, try to keep it light, keep it light. Other times too, maybe you don't really want to leave right away. You could just say, yo, I'm about to go back to my car. I'm about to go take a walk, get some air. Get some air. You know what I'm saying? And kind of just like collect your thoughts and like, just clear your headspace. Walk around and think to yourself, I'm clearing my mind. I'm clearing my mind. Like, these things you can do to help to get yourself back together. And so you don't feel guilty, and you don't feel like you're forced to stay in a particular place where you're uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with you, taking yourself out of that situation temporarily, or for that day, and just like regathering and recollecting your thoughts. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how I feel about that. And so I hope this video was helpful. And thank you for watching. Blessings, light, and love to everyone, spreading out knowledge, spiritual, all day. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Oh, they hating every day.